Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age. This is a show where we talk about everything nerdy. My name is Mick, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Josh.
Oh, what's up?
Corey.
Hello, hello.
And Jonah.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, guys. Today, we're going to jump into some Mando. Last episode, whatever the number was, 7. We're going to do a review of that. We're going to be talking spoilers, so spoiler alert for that. Who wants to go first? Josh.
John opened his mouth like he was going to say something, and then
Sorry, I was looking over here.
Up on him. Yeah, I thought this was the best episode of the season for sure for me. I feel like everything we've kind of been building up to. I think it's unfortunate that last episode was kind of a downer, at least for me. I think for everybody. I think I liked it most out of everybody here. So, but yeah,
Jack Black one. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, the Jack Black one.
Yeah. Lizzo.
Yeah, Lizzo is my favorite. You know, so that's why I loved it so much. But yeah, just like from the get-go, the intro was cool. Going back to Coruscant, I know people have problems with the Coruscant episode, but just seeing the reveal of Moff Gideon was cool. And seeing that there's the Shadow Council out there. It was cool to kind of see Pelion, who's a character from the Thrawn original books. Yeah. He was the guy that kept basically like...
He's played by Marshall Nathan Van Cleve.
Oh, well, he's from...
Okay,
yeah.
Very, everybody knows that character.
I didn't realize that's who that was until...
I don't know if he has like makeup on, but it didn't really look like him that much.
I mean, it's hard to tell with a hologram.
That's true.
But he's like
hologram makeup.
He's like a pretty... You've seen him in something. He's a pretty standard character actor.
Yeah, he's in 24.
He's the director in 24 in one of those seasons. Season 2, maybe. Anyway. But yeah, it was cool to see him because he has a big role in the Thrawn novels, the original ones.
Is he like his kind of right hand man?
Yeah, he's his right hand man. So seeing him was kind of cool. And I like how Moff Gideon was like, hey, when is he going to participate with us? Like, I thought that was cool to kind of see. I don't know if they're going to set that up down the line that Thrawn and Moff Gideon have issues or whatever, or maybe he'll just be out by the end of the season. But I thought that was cool to kind of see the dynamics of what's going on the other side of things outside of the New Republic. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, it just further proves that Bo-Katan is going to be bad by the end of the season. So
I feel like might as well put that to rest. Winner, chicken dinner.
I mean, hey, who knows? Who knows, bro?
Just talking about the Shadow Count, I think that was really cool to start the episode that way. Obviously, the Thrawn name drops will always get excited, but Brendel Hux being there.
Yeah, that was cool.
If you've read any of the Aftermath books that came out and they, Battle of Jakku and all that kind of stuff, you know more about Brendel Hux and the fact that he's basically an abusive father to younger Hux. What's his name?
Hux Jr.
Yeah. What's his name?
It's a weird first name, isn't
Armitage
it?
Hux.
What the heck?
But that's kind of... So they actually got his brother to play, which is pretty cool. But I really like kind of that connection that they've had for people that have read those things and know kind of like the first beginnings of the First Order is basically what these people are. So that's kind of cool that they're kind of setting that up. I still think Thrawn isn't around because I don't think they have... I think he's still where Ezra is, wherever the Purgles went. So I think he hasn't come back to this part of the galaxy. So I think that's kind of... I think he has communication, but he's not able to get back, which is kind of interesting that they're playing with that aspect of where did Thrawn go? Where's Ezra? We have to find them. They can't come back for some reason because you'd think Ezra would just, let me get on a spaceship and come back. So I just thought that was kind of cool to set up more that's going on beyond what the Mandalorians are dealing with. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on the first part, the Shadow Council and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, we see a lot of that in other series. So for me, it's just like, it just feels a lot like Rebels, like just the general look and feel. But no, it's cool. I don't know those side characters because I never read those books. But I knew who Hux was, at least from the movies. Yeah, I mean, I think it's at least interesting. It for me, it's like a lot all of a sudden, and so I'm interested to see what they do in this last episode, because it's like we had this like totally different story basically coming up to this story of gathering and trying to win people over and kind of go place to place. And now all of a sudden it's turned into this just, okay, Moff Gideon is the bad guy. All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Last 2 episodes. Boom. Okay, we got to go on board with that. Okay, like I get it. They're trying to unify the Mandalorians and they want to quell that unification and stuff. And there's that going on. But yeah, with the Shadow Council, I'm like, okay, like I'm okay with that, but
Yeah, that's
not super.
On that point, it is a little interesting that they saved this. Like there was name drops of Gideon throughout, like a couple times. But I'm wondering if this scene would have worked earlier on in the season, and you have other scenes that showing that, yeah, Moff Gideon escaped, would have made it feel more like, oh, he's the bad guy. It does kind of just feel like this is, oh, last episode, you know, Moff Gideon escaped kind of thing. And then in this one, it's kind of like, oh, there he is. It does
And
feel
now he's
like
about
it's just,
to kill he's killing all these dudes.
yeah, it just
about
feels
to-
a
he took
little,
your-
to me,
took
it
the
just
main
feels like,
character.
could they have kind of interpersonal? I know they're trying to make it like a surprise, but Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Moff Gideon, in interviews, even before the season came out, he's like, Moff Gideon will come back like a phoenix. Like, we all knew he was going to be in this, I guess, season.
Yeah.
So it
There
just
was
seems
no
a little
secret.
weird to kind of leave it for the penultimate episode to have him have this big part. I feel like they could have kind of maybe shown us a little bit of him before that. Maybe even show the breakout and that kind of stuff. So you know, oh, this is happening. It seems a little weird to me.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. I think either that or like set up that, like maybe I don't know, that he didn't escape, but it just seemed like throughout the whole series they were saying like he never made it to the trial. He's probably, gone. Maybe like the surprise would have worked better if like it was not so telegraphed that he's escaped and he didn't make it to the thing. Because it was like I feel like everybody knew that he's out there, he escaped. It just didn't seem like a very big surprise to me, because that's what it definitely felt like they were trying to do.
Yeah, I feel like if they would have even interspersed the Shadow Council earlier, like we know that there's this council out there of warlords, you don't even have to show Moff Gideon. Like
Right.
they can just be like, oh, Moff Gideon's captured and he's going to trial, and then eventually he shows up in this episode of like, hey, I escaped, whatever, but at least that way there's something else going on out
Right.
there aside from just like you said, Corey, it's like all of a sudden we're like, this is everything that's been going on.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem because I was about to say in good writing you do this. No, in certain situations people choose to disperse some maybe like minor effects of him being out, and you don't know what caused it, or foreshadowing basically. Like there's a little bit of foreshadowing, but I felt like it came from outside sources, not in the actual like story. So if you can, because for that moment for him to reveal himself, I wasn't like, whoa, holy crap, because I wasn't scared of him. I'm not like, wow, he's such a force to be reckoned with. It's, oh my gosh, he's so scary. He isn't for me. I know a lot of people on Twitter are like, he's like the best bad guy in Star Wars right now. And I'm like, he's like the only bad guy in Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
So the bar, I think, is low, in my opinion, especially when we have so many great bad guys in the past in Star Wars. So, yeah, I think just a sprinkles of influence and a little bit more foreshadowing would have helped my experience of seeing him again be revealed, because the visuals were on point. His reveal and the Praetorian Guards, or whatever you want to call them, whatever they are currently. Are they currently called
they're
that?
Praetorian Guard.
I mean,
That's
they
what he
are,
asked
but-
for.
Yeah. They're sick. And it was really cool. But yeah, it just didn't feel as epic as I thought it was.
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be.
wondering
It was just too sudden, I think.
I'm wondering if they wouldn't have even had any name drops of Moff Gideon like throughout, or being like Moff Gideon's shuttle, like, oh, looks like someone broke him out, kind of. If they don't have any of that, and then they have the Shadow Council, but they don't mention Moff Gideon. They're kind of just talking about Thrawn and other kind of stuff. And then if you had him in that final episode show up in the Mando armor, right? So the guy comes down with the horns. Everyone would be like, who is that? Is that Death Watches, Maul survive, whatever. Like, you'd have people speculating things.
Yeah.
And then for him to have the reveal, I think would have worked a little better, as opposed to being like, yeah, we all know Moff Gideon escaped and we're going to get, kind of thing. So I just think that was kind of handled clumsily. So either no references at all and have him show up just at the end, or do the opposite where you're actually showing him throughout the season. Maybe at the end of every episode, it's before it goes to black or whatever, you have a scene with him in something, like you're figuring out that he's doing stuff. And it would feel more like he's a villain throughout the season. Like when Bo-Katan's castle gets bombed, you could have like a scene of him, like as the TIE bombers are coming back to the base and stuff like that.
An identifiable thing. You don't have to show him, but something that only he had, or a ship that he only had access to, or whatever. You can be like, it's totally Moff Gideon, his fleet or whatever. Yeah. But I think, who wrote the whole story? Is it a joint effort?
No,
mostly
Favreau wrote most of it, and then Filoni has writing credit on 2 episodes.
Okay, so this is the only problem I have is it feels like he was writing in episodes, like, when you do paragraphs, right? It's like episode. It's like, I wish you would have wrote it almost like a really long-term movie in that way and cut it up that way, because you could have sprinkled more stuff from Moff Gideon, because you're like, I have to address Moff Gideon, like, to have him make sense in the end. But he inserted an episode where it's like, okay, to make him make sense, okay, we're going to show that he escaped. Okay, then we'll put the Mandalorian, like, Beskar armor stuff or whatever. Yeah. Like, that was in one episode. It's like, that was the only clue to it. And so that's where I just see a little disjointed storytelling. But,
and the other thing too is, like, you can put stuff in that. It's not like the episodes are like an hour long. Like, some of the episodes have been 30 minutes. So I'm like, a 2-minute scene tacked on the end, or a 2-minute scene in the middle of a show feels like it could work in that way. What that you're saying, where it seems like better writing. They can throw that stuff in there. It's not like these are Andor episodes that are like 50 minutes long. You're kind of like, well, some of these have been like 32 minutes, 37 minutes. What's a couple extra minutes to throw in a new scene?
Yeah.
But,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do like the aspect of his character that he's so obsessed with Mandalore, because I feel like a bunch of other Imperial officers that we've seen in the past, they're either just, following orders from whoever's above them, or they're just, serving the Empire. That's what they do. But his obsession specifically with this planet and this culture, it's a very interesting, I guess, trait to his character. And I think there's been speculation that, like, maybe he was a foundling at one point and he is, quote unquote, an actual Mandalorian, which I don't know if that's true, and maybe we'll find out or not. But yeah, I just think it makes him a little more interesting, but it's still like, I think it's too little too late specifically for this season. It just, like you guys were saying, it just feels kind of rushed and last second.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, I still really like the episode. I do think that overall the season would have helped the season out more to have his influence over it a little more. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think the stuff with, bringing the 2 groups together was pretty cool. Like having them meet on, Navarro, and that shot of the Star Destroyer or whatever, light cruiser, with the, mythosaur painting on the bottom. I was like, dang, that must have taken them forever to paint. And think of all the paint they used up on that. But it looked freaking sweet. But yeah, I thought that stuff was cool. And then, I mean, we've got to talk about the IG-12 stuff coming back.
No.
You mean the mech?
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Baby Yoda mech.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they brought it, because that was kind of like people were upset, like, oh, you just bring up IG-11 and then you're not going to do anything with them again. So it was cool to see that story thread kind of come back around. And as soon as I saw the little Anzellan in there, I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to put Baby Yoda in that thing? But I thought it was pretty sweet.
I didn't even think that. I was like, oh, this guy's going to like follow them around now. New member of the team.
That's what you thought.
That'd be pretty sick.
I was like, oh, yeah, Baby Yoda.
Yeah. That'd be pretty
Bad
awesome.
baby, no squeezy. Is what he said.
No, he says, I'm out. Mother effer. That's what he
It
says.
does sound like it.
Yeah.
Have you not seen that clip?
No.
I'll show it to you guys off the podcast, but
Okay.
it sounds like he says that. It's pretty funny. I thought that worked. I know people complained about it, but I'm like, man, if we get a scene,
Where he gets the Darksaber?
No.
See, now it would make sense.
If
Proportionate.
Yep.
If we
He
get
can
a
wield it now.
scene,
I'll allow it.
like in the
He's
first
literally building a mech, like a Gundam.
He needs rocket. He needs rocket blaster, or like rockets, because they have to carry him around right now.
Yeah.
He needs to upgrade.
Yeah. Sorry,
you guys are good.
but that is the grand scheme of the whole thing.
Maybe.
Gundam stuff.
The first episode where you have IG-11 and he takes out all the, I think they're like pirates that are holding him. I was like, if we have a scene like that where Grogu just starts taking people out with blasters, I mean, that'd be pretty awesome. And using the Force as well. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see. But I thought that was cool. I liked, like you said, the interactions with the Mandos, and then going down to the planet and kind of getting a little backstory with the Mandos that are on the planet that seem a little sketchy to me, that those guys survived on the planet.
They've just been living there, bro. Don't ask questions.
Seems a little strange.
What do you mean?
It just
It seems sus.
it seems a little, as the kids would say,
Yeah.
it's a little sus. No, so the titles, the name of the show is called The Spies, or
The name of the
Spies,
show's called The Mandalorian, actually.
of the episode. And so people are saying, who are the spies? Obviously, is it the Imperial girl?
Right, that's one.
From the beginning. That's one. And then
That's
who
a
would be the
spy.
other? Most of them are saying that it's the armorer because she left and she's working with Gideon. I don't think so. I think it's too obvious and it doesn't make sense to me. But I was thinking those guys that are conveniently on the planet, and then they're all injured. Oh, let's take them back to the fleet. It's a Trojan horse. They're all there working for Moff Gideon. How do they not know he had a huge base there? They would have seen TIE fighters and TIE interceptors and TIE bombers leaving. They took them straight to where the ambush was. I think those people are a Trojan horse. They're going up there. They're going to be like, oh, we're good. Pa, pa, pa. So that's my
Was there that many? Wasn't there like three or
like
four?
3 of them.
They're not going to do
Actually,
anything.
I don't know. There might have been more.
than
They're
that.
not doing anything, the Mandalorians. Nah. No way.
Yeah,
Never know.
it's possible. I could see that. I did have the thought with the armor because it seems kind of, I don't know, her motives seem a little odd. Like she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go too. Finally,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, whatever. I guess it's Mandalore. But yeah, she conveniently left beforehand, before all the stuff went down. But yeah, it just doesn't. The more I think about it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense because if she was working with Moff Gideon, he would have already known about the Mandalorians uniting. Because in the beginning, the spy basically tells him, "Oh, they've united," and he's like, "What? They hate each other. That's impossible." If she was actually working with him, he would basically know that. So I don't know. There's some things there that I'm like, she does seem sketchy, but I think they might just be using her as kind of a red herring. I could see maybe what's the guy that flew
Axe
back up?
Woves.
Yeah, I think Axe Woves could be working
That
with
makes sense.
Moff Gideon also.
It totally is. Yeah, I'm calling that.
Yeah, because he missed out last season. He was gone when they
he wasn't on the.
they took Moff Gideon's Star Cruiser. So
Yeah, that's my bet.
I could see him being a spy, but we'll see. Maybe it's neither of them, and the title was just Spies.
Yeah. Let's pick a random word.
Misspelling.
No, I think
Just
that
spy.
it kind of makes sense because we talked about this a little, Josh and I, about there might be referencing spies as the group of Mandalorians that go down to Mandalore to do recon. They go to this place. They're technically spies. Like if you take the biblical term, which they've used biblical terms with Mandalore with the whole religious symbolism, the Israelite spies that go into the land of Canaan to scope it out, they could be referencing that. The group that goes down, they leave the other group that's been wandering in the desert, no planet, no home. A group goes down, they're the spies. They've used biblical references like that before, so that could be.
I wouldn't say that's a biblical reference.
Well, I mean-
spy is someone who infiltrates an enemy territory and spies on them.
Right, but I'm saying
That's
like,
not like-
but they're using like Mandalorians. They've used references about that go directly to Israelites and kind of that aspect of even the wandering and all that kind of aspect. So it would make sense if they use that as spies, making reference to the group like Joshua and the group that went into the land of Canaan and came back and gave the report. So that could be even something. And we're all thinking like, oh, who are the spies they're talking about? It's like, well, there's actually different. There's double meaning to it. So
I think one plus about the armor being one of the spies is I think that would hit hardest because we've been with her for now 3 seasons. She doesn't seem like a necessarily like good guy, but she's been like, you know, loyal to this whole different way of Mandalorian. She's guided Din along the way. So I think that would probably, like, she'd be a good candidate just because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I hope it's not her because they would have to explain it really well.
It'd make no sense. They'd have to explain the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Because why is she so committed to the cause? Is it maybe she has like this secret vendetta against whatever other Mandalorians, like not the true way that she believes in? Maybe that could be it, where she wants to purge them and she wants her primary version of the religion to be the only way. That's the only thing I could really see. But dude, the amount that she's committed to this cause is like ridiculous.
Yeah, she's also helped Bo-Katan.
Yeah, that's
come
true.
along. Like,
she didn't have to.
If your whole goal is to just be like, oh, we're just gonna bring back, Mandalore under. I guess she's bringing them
her to get them.
But it seems like there's a better way to do it than build up Bo-Katan and get her confidence up. You know what I mean? Like,
it
just seems like there's a different way to do that.
They could have killed her when she was by herself. Well, and no one would have batted an eye as far as like, oh, like she doesn't follow the way, so kill her. And like all the people in her cult would have been. That's why I'm like, if it is her, then I was like,
it's not.
I hope it's not a 38-minute episode because it's going to have to be like the other thing too.
Is, 2-hour episode.
The other thing too is if she's with Gideon, like her whole thing is about like Mandalore, and when Gideon in his speech at the end says like, I'm the one that's going to lead Mandalore. I was like, I don't think the armor would be down with that. Unless they explain it really well.
No.
But I just think they're trying to. It's a red herring to be like, oh, she's acting sketchy. There's all these things. I just think it's going to be a switcheroo.
And it's going to be Bo-Katan. She's the spy.
Nope. Nope. Feels good to be right, about Bo-Katan being the villain.
You got to be right sometimes.
From a certain point of view.
That's right. But yeah, so I guess that's basically the episode, right? Well, like Din gets captured, and Paz gets taken out, goes out like a boss. Like I thought that was well done because before,
really,
I'm saying like even Paz's character, like I'm saying his character from going from like,
but the scene in my opinion was a little lackluster.
I liked
it. But go ahead, explain why you thought that was such a great.
Well, I just thought.
Story.
I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting him to die. And so as far as like the character development of him and him going from like wanting to take the Darksaber from Din to then kind of being his ally to then sacrificing himself for everyone else. I thought it was well done. Now, I thought the fight scene was cool with him and going in. I think you could say that, oh, well, he had time. He could have left. But taking out all that group and then the shot where the Praetorian Guards kind of their feet, they just kind of walk out. I thought that was really cool.
It was well shot. It was good action. It's just, this is the one part that I didn't like.
Okay.
It's just, homie took him out. If he just had backup, they win that because they didn't show enough guards. Like, it was just the choice of like how many they showed. Like I was like, please just show a bunch more. Like just showing the sheer amount of numbers that he was up against and that he lost to. Just show that. And they didn't show that, and it let me down a little bit because it makes it more epic when you're like, frick, he took out all those dudes. But then there's just this, I'm going to lose because there's just too many of them. Yeah. Like that acceptance of, we couldn't have won this
like
fight.
Boromir
so it was
in
just exactly where they just go overwhelmed.
Don't make me cry.
Yeah,
it's like arrow after arrow. That was my only
thing. Because I was hoping for some goosebump moments in this episode because it was super cool, but that would have done it in my opinion. but it was well shot. I think his sacrifice is great. I liked him as a character. I think he had a very quick and interesting, very cool, like a very, very good rise and fall and a build of character. And that was a great self-sacrificing moment. It was awesome. But yeah, I just wish it was a little
that makes
epic.
sense.
That's all.
Yeah, I think it worked for me because like he's killing all the dudes, and you're like, oh, like you think he's like, oh, he did it, and then I had completely forgotten that Moff Gideon put in a request for
Hey, just showing up.
He's like, oh, let me just what do I sign to request these 3 Praetorian guards, and then seeing them come in was cool, and I think that just sets them up for like, oh, they just wrecked him, no problem. I thought that was sweet, and then even he's like grabbing his neck, and he just kind of like knocks his hand off, like, get off me.
Yeah.
I liked it. It worked for me.
I liked his overheating gun too. That looked pretty sick.
That's cool.
How he chucked it at him.
That happens.
That happens so many times in Star Wars video games. I'm glad it finally made it into a movie.
Did you see the little bar pop up over his head? It was like, psst.
Wait for cooldown.
Yeah.
If you hit X at the right time, it cools down right away. It's perfect.
Was there anything else before? Because I want to kind of get into what we think is going to happen in the final episode. Was there anything else that you guys liked? One scene for me that I thought was really good was when Din talks to Bo-Katan on the ship that they're traveling to the Forge. He says, your song has not yet been written. He's like, I will follow you anywhere, Lady Kryze. I thought that scene was really cool.
That was good.
And I also... one of the scenes that kind of didn't work for me was although I liked what they did, but just how it was executed was the Grogu kind of getting in the way of the 2 guys fighting. I don't know if it was the way it looked. I liked kind of that idea, like that they're always fighting, and Grogu's, because Bo-Katan says, you can't step in, no one can do it. And then Grogu's kind of like screw you guys.
The
Like,
way you break this down is so funny. Because you're exactly right. No, we can't interfere. And then he interferes because he's technically foundling, so he shouldn't be stepping in, but he does. And then she immediately says, "Oh, you taught him well." It's like, bruh, you just said not to. Like, what the heck? Like, which one is it?
Yeah, so I liked what they were going
weird.
for with that idea of like that he's basically uniting like them, and he's kind of going against what the tradition would be. I just felt it was a little McClunky. How it was done. But yeah, other than that, I think the sentiment was like what was important about that.
Yeah, I thought
kind
it
of
was
what they were saying.
I thought it was fine.
But yeah, anything you guys thought? Any scenes you guys wanted to go over?
More like his Jedi training side.
Well, because Din said I didn't teach him that.
Yeah, kind of more peacekeeping.
That's a little bit more of like maybe hints towards when he did his Jedi training.
Yeah.
So no, I really like that aspect of it. I really want him to achieve this kind of like dual citizenship. I would love that, where he's a Jedi and a Mandalorian.
Oh, he's a knight as well, because
Lizzo
and Jack Black knighted him, so he's a tri-citizen.
What's the town or whatever?
I can't remember.
Planet? I don't know. He's a
with
knight
a
of
P.
something.
Yeah.
Knight of P.
I like that the thing that set him off was that they play chess differently. He's like, oh, these uncivilized fools have
rules.
different rules.
Yeah,
and
knights don't move like that.
Yeah, I like how Paz Vizsla was like, all right, let's throw down, bro.
He just pulled
just
the
pulled
blade.
his knife.
What a little jerk.
It's like playing
he deserved
Monopoly.
to die.
It's like playing board games with Jonah. You know what I mean?
Honorable.
As soon as something
playing
doesn't
Risk.
go his way, he
pulls out
pulls out a knife.
Yeah.
That's how it
Cool
happens.
seeing another dinosaur type of creature on the planet.
It started to feel like Dune for a second. A little vibroblade.
No, they're going to shoot blasters and they're going to go so slow that they get through the shield. Oh,
The
no,
vibroblade-
whatever will I do?
The vibroblade straight
The
through.
bullet is going so slow, I should try to move.
Yeah, dude.
Outrun that bullet.
No, good episode overall, and
Yeah.
I think, I think that this next episode might be pretty sweet. But you guys said, do we know the runtime?
Someone said 38
something?
minutes. I think
Someone on the street. Jonah was walking down.
No.
Some kid.
The next Mando
there
episode,
are,
38.
every couple days before an episode has dropped, I don't know how this guy gets the information, but he's like, the next episode is, and it's been right. I don't think it's the same guy that did this one, but they're like rumors it's 38. So I don't think so. But just in case it is, 38 minutes. What are you guys' predictions?
What is you guys?
We have our predictions that we did. I think we're all
we're losing, Joe.
I'm losing because I said Han Solo's showing up, so that's for sure.
You said yes to everything, bro.
Here's what I want to know: who's taking out those Praetorian guards? Now, is Luke showing up? Are they gonna? Wait, I'm saying this. Okay, because that's one of our predictions. Is Luke showing up? Because that would be pretty legit if Luke comes out and just dispatches those guys.
Keeps bailing them out.
Yeah,
last episode.
They're like, it's just one
This is
X-wing.
the other option. This is the other option.
Here we go.
Do you think Ahsoka will show up and do something, or is Boba Fett going to come in? Boba Fett with Fen Rao, like other Mandos are coming in. Like, do you guys think any of those characters are going to show up, or is it just going to be Bo-Katan and Grogu and who we have left, or is there going to be a surprise? Like, is the X-wing, the Rangers of the New Republic, going to come in like an X-wing fighters? Is Gina Carano going to show up?
Yeah, she's taking him out.
Why do they need an exterior person to come in and handle this? I don't think they do. They're Mandalorians. Their whole what?
No, I'm just wondering.
Oh, I thought you were laughing at me.
No, he's coughing.
I'm coughing.
Mandalorians are their whole like getup is designed to kill Jedis and to defeat other Mandalorians. So, I mean, I think they're equipped to do it. Problem is, Din's taken captive.
Yeah.
So he's probably the best one. So, I mean, Bo-Katan has the Darksaber. So that's cool.
So you're saying no? You don't think anyone will show up?
I don't think any outside sources are going to come bail them out.
Man, I think if anybody showed up, it would be that one X-wing pilot.
That one guy, the cloaked
Reva.
individual.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were referencing Luke Skywalker.
That one
X-wing fighter. What's his name?
Yeah, I thought he was making a joke.
He has the green laser sword.
Because
What's
Josh
his name?
said, "Oh, it's only one X-wing." That's what I thought you were referencing that. You're talking about the
Carson Reva.
Yeah.
Carson Teva. Carson Teva.
But yeah, I don't think Luke will. That would, like you said, that would just feel like, oh, Luke's coming.
Han and Chewie on the Millennium
solve the
Falcon.
problems again.
Hey, we're out here trying to get some Beskar from Mandalore.
If
Do
any,
you think they care, bro? Nah.
I don't know why she would show up, but Sabine showing up would be cool.
Okay.
I
If they put out the Mandalorian
bat
signal, you know?
I could be down with that, but
Boba Fett, Sabine,
anyone related to
and Fen Rao.
Mandalorians, yeah.
Mandalorians
only.
Just real quick. So our predictions: Luke. Corey was the only one that said no on Luke. Ahsoka,
Are you sure I didn't say no?
Ahsoka, we all said yes was showing up.
Because we thought it would be a nice lead-in.
Boba Fett, Josh, and I were the only ones that said yes. So Sabine, we all said yes. I'm trying to think anything else. So, anyways,
Don't worry about it.
as far as that goes,
go over that.
I do think someone from the outside is going to show up, and I think Boba Fett
could be Sabine or Boba Fett. Sure.
I think would I want to see Luke kind of show up and wreck shop? Yeah, but I feel like doing that two seasons in a row
Too soon.
For the season finale. Yeah,
But maybe Grogu just kind of reached out and called him. You know, he's like, my homie Grogu needs some help.
I would love to see Grogu.
He gave him that emergency whistle. Yeah, that he could blow. The Jedi whistle. He's like,
I'm on my way.
Only Jedis can hear.
No, yeah, I'd love to see Grogu do some Force stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've really seen any of that this season, right?
Just with the game.
Just with the game, bro.
Well, cheating.
That's how he got knighted.
He helped cheating.
Okay, here's the next one. Are we going to see the Mythosaur? Is the Mythosaur going to come out and just wreck shop? And is Bo-Katan going to ride that Mythosaur?
Yeah, we'll see it.
And she's gonna kill Din. Well, what?
She's not bad, bro.
She's the spy.
Did you just surprise yourself?
Corey, what do you think? Mythosaur showing up?
Sure.
I think
Okay.
it has to.
They foreshadowed it too much.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's got to write it.
Here's one.
pretty sick.
Is anyone dying?
I hope they do it well, though.
Do you guys think Din makes it past this episode?
Yeah, he does. There's no way they're gonna kill him.
Yeah, he's around.
Now, if we go to rumors of things,
Yeah, go ahead.
like there's rumors that even from last season that Pedro Pascal had originally said he only wanted to do 2 or 3 seasons is what they told him. And so there's rumors that he's been trying to get out of playing the Mandalorian. So there's some rumors of people saying that's the reason Bo-Katan kind of took over this season, because they want to... Pedro Pascal doesn't want to be the Mandalorian anymore.
He wears a helmet the whole time.
I know, but he may not want to do it anymore.
It's a lot of
He
work
doesn't
just
wanna do
doing
voice-
BO,
he doesn't wanna
baby.
do voiceover.
Yeah.
But
Rough 2 days of work.
so here's the question: if that's kind of true, and they're kind of going on to tell a grander story as far as like with connecting Ahsoka and connecting Thrawn and other stuff, is Din's story doesn't need to continue? Because I could argue that you could end it here, and Grogu continues on, and now you have, oh, well, Thrawn comes in, Ahsoka, Luke, Bo-Katan, all this kind of stuff. His story is kind of like more of the, I was a bounty hunter, I saved Grogu. Grogu is my legacy. It would make sense to me if there's those issues behind the scenes that they could end it here, and then they didn't announce the Mandalorian season 4. Could it just get folded into the Ahsoka series is going to continue this story? Other series are going to continue it until the movie hits.
I will say I have gotten a lot of like breakup vibes from Din. Like this whole season, he's just like waiting to do something, to leave the show, break up. You never got that feeling? When you're dating someone and you're like, something's off here. And like, and then the
Mixed in a relationship with Din.
Season finale, then he breaks up
He's like,
with you.
he's just ignoring me. He doesn't look straight into the
Because-
camera. He doesn't look at me.
This season, he's definitely taken a backseat to his other seasons. He really has like fulfilled his mission in the second episode, and then it kind of seems like he's just been along for the ride.
He's been teaching Grogu everything about what it means to be a Mandalorian.
Right. I don't want to see him go just because I like the character, and they could always write more for him to do. But I do
recast.
I guess so, yeah. But I do have the feeling from the season. It's just like I could see that happening. I don't want it to, but it would be definitely a blow, and
Yeah.
It's a good question, because a lot of people have been like, well, who is the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Who is it referencing to? And so, I mean, that does open the door up to lots of interpretations and potential, continuations of the story. Grogu matters probably the most, but Din, I think, is pretty important as well. The story is centered around him.
Yeah.
100%. So it's only been recently, about halfway through this season, where we've kind of seen Bo-Katan. Wouldn't it feel a little weird if it was to then move forward, and we'd be following Bo-Katan?
Maybe. I think a lot of people would be upset. But I think, to me, I kind of look at the way they wrote him, where they've been writing him, is he doesn't have any aspirations of leading Mandalore. It's kind of like, no, I don't want to do it. Like, even the fact that he can't even lift the darksaber. Like, I feel like they've been setting him up to be like, I'm not, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not an important character. I'm important to, I saved Grogu, and I built this bond with him and taught him all these things. But do we need him to go up against Thrawn? I don't think so. I think there's bigger characters that are going to be doing that. And if they're telling a bigger story, Din kind of becomes like a secondary character as far as like, what more are you going to do? Like in Mando season 4, is it just going to be, I'm going to go back to doing bounties? Like after a while, that story becomes kind of stale. So I'm wondering, it's kind of the way they've written it to me. It feels like other characters have come in that have taken over the whole mantle of like, we're bringing Mandalore back together, even though he has played a role in that because of his, like, I feel like he's the one that kind of got Bo-Katan to realize what Mandalore was.
He's been a catalyst throughout all this.
Yes, and so he's played that. So I think for him to kind of do that and him to die sacrificing himself kind of gives that oomph punch to Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians to realize we need to unite. If he becomes a catalyst that unites Mandalore together, I think that's kind of a pretty cool story to tell with Din even if it's just for 3 seasons.
Bro, get out of here, dude.
Here's the only thing. Why was he taken captive? He's
the spy.
As like a meta story kind of aspect of it, like
I think there's a lot of personal stuff between him and Moff Gideon at this point, because he really screwed him over last season.
yeah, sorry, I meant in a meta like writer's perspective, but yeah, you're 100% right there. You capture someone, and then some people have to come and save you. So it's going to be Bo-Katan
like Luke
and Grogu. Yeah. I think that he's going to live. I think, yes, he could totally be phased out next season or whatever. But I would be very surprised if he self-sacrifices or whatever happens in this next episode. And for that not to leak at all. That would be very surprising to me. I know a lot of people have said, ooh, it's pretty crazy. A lot of like, ooh.
There's one. So Brandon Wayne, who plays.
Don't spoil it.
No, I'm not spoiling.
Just kind of
Who plays
Say it again. Just
the Mandalorian, the stunt double. Someone after the episode.
He's unemployed. Got it.
After the episode.
Gosh dang it, John.
After the episode.
Spoiler.
After the episode, somebody posted like, "Oh, thank you so much! What an amazing episode!" and tagged him and Dave Filoni, and then he shared that on his Instagram story, and he said, "They're like, I can't wait for more," and he said,
Unemployment.
He said,
I wish I could do more.
Sometimes he's like, you're gonna wish you didn't wish for more. It might hurt too much. Like that's what he said. So people went in an uproar, like,
Okay.
But again,
Yeah.
so from that, people have started to say, is he gonna die? I think they might do a fake out
Yeah,
where he dies and then
that'll happen.
Grogu force heals him.
Forced resurrection.
But you know what? Since you guys are saying no, I'm saying yes. They're gonna kill Din at the end of the episode.
I just can't believe
Many
that you're
tears.
like,
Many
what's
tears
Mando
were
gonna do? Like, what's he gonna
Yeah.
do against Thrawn?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying
Mando
that.
with me wherever I
He's
go.
like
He
the-
already he's a
like the
baddie,
be-
bro.
He's like the best Mandalorian.
He is.
He is.
And you're like, oh man, I don't know
didn't
what-
say that.
Yeah.
He already last episode. He already said, "Hey, Bo-Katan, I'm your ride or die, baby."
Yeah.
Right.
And
I
you want him to hook up, so take it back.
I want Bowden.
Take it back.
Bowden.
Sounds weird.
I didn't say that I wouldn't want him on my team. I'm saying.
You said, what's he gonna do?
No, what I'm saying is there's more there's more compelling storylines that I would rather see. Like I'd rather see Ahsoka go up against Thrawn because there's already something there than seeing Din going up against Thrawn. Because
But now it's an ensemble cast.
I know, but at the same time, you need to have, when we talk about writing, when we talk about story threads, there's certain ones that have more emotion and weight to them. So Luke showing up in the Dave Filoni movie with Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra, and that, you can't have so many characters that then there's nothing to do for each one except for Din and Boba doing like cool action stuff.
Why not?
There's a limit. That's fine, but I'm like,
You
there's a
had
limit.
Lando and the Return of the Jedi.
I know, but
flying
what
in
I'm
those-
saying is, if we're going
example.
if we're going
Good
on
example.
writing storylines that have emotional impact to them, I think this would be a great way to end his storyline. Grogu still moves forward, so you have his whole legacy. Bo-Katan has this legacy. His legacy lives on through these people that he did that with, as opposed to kind of just keeping him going in as a side character. I feel like it would be more meaningful if he dies sacrificing himself for these characters, as opposed to, oh, there's another Mando, Din, going around doing action shots.
But it's not another Mando. It's Din. You know him.
I know, but what I'm saying is, in that movie, it becomes that.
You're
It just
instantly
becomes
like,
a cameo.
nah,
it just,
bruh, who's that?
It just becomes a cameo.
You're
What I'm
the
saying
king
is,
of cameos.
I know,
You
but
want
what I'm
everyone to
saying
cameo.
is, what I'm saying is, I'd rather have him have an impact on these characters emotionally.
He already has.
I know, but there's a difference between a guy that still sticks around and is around and someone that sacrificed himself for those characters. You can't tell me the impact is the same. It's not. If he dies, that's going to hit hard for a season finale. That impact is bigger and feels much more than just being like, all right, he's around. Now we're going to focus on these characters. He's still around in the background. I'm just saying.
You just sparked some inspiration. All right. They hired me. I'm writing this last episode. I don't kill Din. what I do is I mind mush him, then I brain him to be serving Moff Gideon, and then Grogu has to fight him. Boom!
There you go.
There you go. There's a different take on it because we just had sacrifice.
That's
just
the only
happened
thing,
on
yeah.
this last episode. So back-to-back sacrifice maybe is a little too soon. I don't know, but the way they're wording that might also be a fake out because he knows that money's on the line if he does mess that up. Spoils, wise. So I don't know. I think it's a little too soon, Jonah.
I can't believe Jonah hates Mando.
I like the
didn't
idea.
say I hate Mando. I'm just saying this would be a time to do it.
Get him out of his show.
Well, the other thing is
not good character.
not all ends of characters have to be self-sacrificing ones, right?
No.
But it is a very common place, obviously. So, are there other options? I think there are. He doesn't have to be the center of attention always. That's been happening even in Boba Fett, where he shared the scenes with Din, and I don't know. I think everyone can exist, and I think things can happen where they're still at a high cost without people dying. I just think that like taking them captive, brainwashing them, whatever. That's just a stupid little example I thought of. But there's other options. So I don't know.
They're going to clone him. Evil clone.
He would be a great clone. Great specimen.
I mean, I think a bunch of those clones I think Moff Gideon's cloning himself.
You
When he
think
walks by those tubes, I'm like, there's a bunch of Gideons there.
Yeah. They didn't really show us much to go off of on those tubes that he was walking by. Mm-mm. But are we
And
just
he's kept
assuming that
he's
it's
kept it
Palpatine?
secret because they're talking about Project Necromancer.
Where are you at on the cloning
Yeah,
stage?
and he's kind of got
It's
his
like-
own thing, and I think he was going for Grogu. I don't think
Yeah.
they wanted Grogu, so he's working on his own thing. And he mentioned the thing of getting all the different
best of
cultures
everything.
living in me. So I'm like, why would
Best
he
of
not
both
clone
worlds.
himself? So I think he's cloning himself.
Make him force sensitive.
Yeah.
Be cool. Well, no matter what happens, it's going to be definitely an action-packed episode, I think. It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be an infiltration. It's going to go off.
Hearts will be broken.
If Luke shows up, I'll happily
Not
accept
just
it.
Luke. It's going to be with Han and Chewie as well.
What?
All
Why
in the Millennium
Han and
Falcon. Maybe
Chewie?
Leia too. They're finally going to give us what we all wanted in the sequel trilogy: a scene with them in the Millennium Falcon cockpit.
No.
Anyways, we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. We will be back next week with some more Mando. Obviously, the season finale is going to be big, so we'll be talking about that. We're going to move on to just kind of some news before we leave today. The first thing I kind of want to talk to you guys about, they announced the Warner Brothers is
These
dropping
guys again?
HBO Max, and now
these
it's going to be
guys were
called Max, which I think is kind of dumb.
Why not just call it HBO?
That's
Idiots.
well, I know, but so it's called Max.
These guys
but
can't even get a name right.
They announced that they're going to reboot the Harry Potter
Movie
franchise
books into a series.
into a series, and it's supposedly going to be one movie per season. So 7 seasons, right? The 7 books.
I heard 10 seasons.
Oh, 10
Oh,
seasons.
really?
I don't think anything's been confirmed, but
Yeah, because
I heard 7.
Yeah,
I
what
could
I
see
saw.
8.
Well, what I saw was a season per book. That's what I saw.
that would make the most sense.
How many books are there?
There's 7, but they did 2 on the last book for the movies.
yeah.
Because the last one is big and there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I heard. It was going to be a season per book. So that's why people were saying 7 seasons. Me, as not a Harry Potter fan, I'm like, sure, redo it, refranchise it. J.K. Rowling is producing on it, so that's good, I think, for some people.
Let's see.
So, what do you guys think? I think Mick is probably the biggest Harry Potter
I would
fan
just like
at the
to say-
table.
Can we roll the clip of
Really?
when?
Is he?
yeah.
Rewind.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
I don't know however long ago. I said that, hey, it'd be awesome if Harry Potter got rebooted into an HBO Max.
I don't think
And
you
we
said
all
that.
laughed. We did.
I did,
'Cause we were-
and you guys made fun of me. You guys said, why on earth would they do that? That is a dumb move.
I remember specifically because when they were talking about doing a new show, and we were like, "Oh, they should just do a show as the adults or something like that." And Mick was like, "Well, I think it'd be kind of cool if they redid the movies, but as a show." And we were like, "Why would they do that? That's such a stupid idea."
And then I just
Mick was like,
sank into my seat.
"Oh,
and,
okay."
Well, see, hey,
now
I
we
mean,
can hate on
just
our
because
face.
they're doing it doesn't make it a good
seems
thing.
to me.
Just gonna say
HBO
that.
Max is watching this podcast.
It
Thank
seems
you.
to me that
that's why they're
Mick
losing
talks
money.
about out both sides of his mouth. Because we talked about Lord of the Rings, and he doesn't want to have a Lord of the Rings reboot. It's the same thing.
Well, they did the movies good enough.
Yeah.
So you're on board for this?
Yeah,
then?
absolutely. Yeah. And I for as long as the series is, I think it works better as a show format anyway. And shows nowadays are so close in quality in terms of, how they are shot and all that stuff, visual effects. They're so close to movies and maybe even better sometimes that's not a worry at all. 20 years ago, it would have been, but now it's, I'd say go for it. And, with the, however many episodes they'll have in the season, they can go way more into detail with how the books are. So I'm all for it. Let's go.
There are also rumors that they might use the actors as, like, Daniel Radcliffe might play Harry Potter's dad.
That would make sense. I don't think they're going to do that.
I can see that.
So
I
they
mean,
could, they
they're
could have
throwing.
some of those characters
If the
play
money's
different.
right, dude.
Yeah.
He'd do it.
Just kind of like as cameo, like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool nod
Yeah.
to.
They have to have an actor that looks like him, though, because Harry looks like James.
He's not that crazy.
Gotta be accurate. If you're doing this, HBO, I'm sorry, Max. Max, I'm talking to you,
not
Max.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a James actor playing his dad.
Look
He was
nothing
Harry
like Daniel
Potter.
Radcliffe.
Wow.
This could be fixed in the show.
I think people are going to be upset about this. As far as like, I feel like they're going to do. I think J.K. Rowling is going to do things like she's done and gone back and like change things. Like, oh, I actually wrote the Dumbledore. Perfect example.
There's going to be retcons.
I mean, there's going to be retcons, and I think there's also going to be like, what is happening now with like, oh, characters race swapping, that kind of stuff. Whatever. I think that's a insignificant thing, but I think they're going to have an uphill battle because as soon as anything like that happens, because I think J.K. Rowling mentioned like, oh no, Hermione's actually black, how she wrote it, which I don't think she did write it that way, but she changed it later. So I think that might be some of those things that people kind of get mad at, which doesn't really change, I think, the quality of the story, because we saw in Rings of Power, like having black elves and black dwarves and stuff like that, black hobbits, Harfoots. It's not a big deal to me, but I think that creates people that take stances on that pretty hard. So it'll be interesting to see how much negativity there is around that.
You hope that the fans you lose because of that decision you make, you gain new fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a 1-to-1 ratio like that. I don't think it is, but you take risk when you do things like that. When you change the source material and add different takes on it. So it's a risk. I don't think there's any. I don't think it's a bad thing. Same idea with Lord of the Rings series. I'm like, just give me more. That's cool, and then we can judge it on its own merits.
Right. If it's a good story,
awesome. If it translates the book story a lot better because it is episodic at that point, awesome, cool, I'm down. But some of those books, in my opinion, I don't know. I'm kind of remembering some of those first books, and I'm like, they change a lot. Like the feel of these books, like from 1 and 2, specifically, are just. I'm just imagining. Maybe they'll just be shorter seasons, maybe something like that. But I'm very interested to see how this turns out, because there are diehard Harry Potter fans, where when they think about, our Christmas traditions are watch Harry Potter movies, like those types of people are going to be the ones watching this, and hey, maybe they'll be their new favorite series. You never know, but it'll be tough. But it'll look good, probably. Really good.
Hopefully.
What about you, Josh? What do you think?
What do you would say for your wife?
You're a Harry Potter sucker.
That's okay.
You and Crystal love that.
Crystal loves it. She's the one. She's like, oh, I don't know about it, because I think the casting is the thing for her. Like, she's so attached to the cast that already exists. It's like, you're going to recast all those characters, and what if you don't like them as much as you like the original actors?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the biggest battle that they have, is like getting people on board for new representations of these characters. I think with as far as like kind of what you were saying, Corey, of like they're more kiddish, you know, the first books. I think probably they're just doing what they did with the books is you hope your audience grows up as you go. So you start out with these and you get kids that are like, oh yeah, this is Harry's magical world, like just this world of wonder. And then you get to the seventh book or the seventh season and you're like, oh, there's serious stuff going on. So I think that's probably what they hope for. But yeah, whether or not it turns out well, who knows?
I mean, 7 seasons though.
Yeah.
Unless they pump out one a year, that we're looking at like 2 years every season. So it's going to be take them 14 years to pump out a full series. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say though, when people are like, "Oh, but I really like the actors and stuff like that," it's like, well, if you go back and watch those through a very non-biased window, there are some characters who are really annoying and like really they have a weird, like they're not super accurate in my opinion to the characters in the book. So I think there's some characters that could be improved upon. Personally,
I hate Ron Weasley. I hate that actor.
Yeah, I think he's one of them. I think some people don't like him as much, but I think people love him.
Were we talking about that? That basically in the movies, all the lines they stole all the lines from Ron and gave them to Hermione, basically. Yeah. So like Ron's basically worthless in the movie.
Yeah, that's why
it's more of his.
And they
face.
also gave
Ron
like a bunch of
right.
like humorous stuff that even Harry says. They give it to Ron.
Yeah.
Like Ron in the movies is like very much the comic relief, the kind of bumbling guy, which he is a little bit in the books, but not nearly as much because he's also pretty smart in the books.
No, he has he
does his own
cool.
stuff. Yeah.
He has some cool like features about himself. He's a heroic guy, you know, and he's a very loyal friend. Obviously, they still do that in the movies, but yeah, he was exactly who I was thinking about, where they did him wrong, and so they can kind of improve upon those. So. But there's so many storylines and little like mini stories that Harry went through and that they just couldn't hit on in the movies. So I think as a series, it'd be very filled out. I don't know how, I guess, rewarding that storytelling is going to be when they do it, but who knows? Yeah. So cool. I'm interested to see it. I guess is kind of my take on it.
I think I'd be more worried if it wasn't HBO but Max now, but because they do really well with their shows. So
yeah, will they be around though is the question.
That's a couple
years. Max will. Max never leaves.
They just have to make another Game of Thrones series and they're good. Just print money.
That is true. So yeah, the other thing that they kind of dropped is the trailer for the Penguin the show.
Another Max series.
Yeah, so that one looked really cool. Colin Farrell as Colin Farrell? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Colin Cowherd.
No, you're right.
I was thinking
Colin Cowherd. No, I will not watch it. I hate that guy.
He looks awesome, and kind of just the whole. If you guys watch the trailer, the whole feel of it feels kind of like Sopranos mob. Just kind of really cool.
Yep.
Take on the Penguin story. So I thought that was really cool. It was basically just a little tease saying we started filming from Matt Reeves. So that was kind of cool. What do you guys think of that show? Are you excited for it? Obviously, there are a couple guys in here that almost gave the Batman a perfect score or close to it. Or
I think I gave it a 10.
Oh, there you go. So you must be super excited for this show. What do you think, Mick?
I'm totally on board. Let's go. Yeah. He was definitely one of the biggest highlights of the movie. And just seeing now that his story is going to be more explored in his own series, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And right now, spoilers for what happens at the end of the Batman, but there's a big hierarchy change. You know, people that were in charge of like the criminal, underworld stuff, that's kind of up in the air right now. So I think the show will focus a lot on like people trying to climb that ladder, grasp what wasn't theirs. And yeah, I mean, like we said, Colin Farrell, he was awesome in the movie, and he just looks like he has so much fun playing this character. And like the makeup looks good. I mean, everything about it is just super interesting. And I think a lot of it has to do with Matt Reeves' vision, because specifically the Gotham in his movie just felt the most alive out of all the other Batmans that we've got. So I think that'll serve the show well, because it's all about that. But yeah, I don't know how many episodes or whatever, but looks great.
As long as they don't let James Gunn anywhere near it, we're good.
Yeah, stay away.
Wait.
What?
No, nothing.
You were close to a perfect score on it, right?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about this. Just the look of it. Like you said, the makeup is amazing for him.
We're big makeup guys.
I feel like he just embodies that character so well. Just even like that scene where he's like shoots the guy and he's just kind of like smiling and then starts laughing a little bit afterwards. You're like, Colin Farrell's a great actor and I'm super excited for it. I like how it was like an announcement of like, it's in production. I'm like, what did you guys just shoot some scenes for the day? And you're like, all right, let's put it out. I'm like,
that's
okay,
kind of what
that
they
looks
did
amazing.
for the Batman, right? Didn't they shoot like 25% and they had like this whole trailer already?
Something like that.
I think it was that. Right?
And I think it works with like, I mean, there's probably like minimal CGI in this movie or in this show. I mean, it's all pretty like gonna be like you were saying, Jonah, like a mob story. But yeah, I'm super excited for it. And I like how they're keeping the Batman, the Penguin, like that's
branding.
Yeah, the Mandalorian,
the Max.
Corey, what do you think? Are you excited for this? Just right up your alley?
Is it down my alley or up my alley? I don't know. I'm not really into kind of those TV series of like mobsters and gangsters as much. Like I don't find myself watching those ever. So just because it's linked to the Batman universe and there might be a chance of seeing a Batman, that'd be good. I'll watch it because of the Nerd Age podcast, but no, I normally would not be watching this. Okay. It's not really. It's an aspect of the Batman movie that I don't have super interested in.
Okay,
it's not super engaging. There's not the threat of a superhero as much. It's going to be small stuff. So yeah, just not a gangster fan. So.
No gangsters.
Lots of gangsters.
Not a huge fan of them. So,
all right, I'm excited for it. So that was the second thing that kind of dropped on Warner Brothers, kind of HBO Max rebranding stuff. The other thing that kind of dropped was the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which is the video game being done by Rocksteady. That got delayed
till
February of 2024. Yeah. So they had just dropped a big old trailer a couple months ago, gameplay trailer. It had kind of gotten me intrigued about it. I think a lot of people complained about it. So apparently they're trying to make the best game possible before they release it.
Audibles.
So you guys know more about gaming than I do. Is this something... I know we've talked a little bit. You guys weren't really even excited for this game. Does this kind of shock you at all that they delayed it? Because it was originally supposed to come out earlier, even last year, right? Wasn't it? And then it got delayed.
I think it's been delayed multiple times. And at this point, like when I hear that a game gets delayed, I'm never surprised because I just feel like that happens so much that okay. And yeah, like you said, I'm really not excited for the game. I know there's people that are, and it sucks for them to wait more, but if the game is better for it, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really surprised.
When a game gets delayed, it should always get the fans hyped because that means they saw a product that wasn't going to be good enough on release. And so they said to themselves, oh, well, we're going to have to pay... Well, when was it originally going to come out? This summer or what?
Originally, it was like...
What was the last date? Sorry.
Oh, the last date, I think, was June, right?
Okay. So
June or July or something?
So they're basically paying like another half a year of wages to improve this game to a level. They could have just released it. They would have gotten money, right?
Like Cyberpunk.
Right. But they delayed it to improve it. So yeah, as a fan of these types of games, you should be super stoked about it because it's going to be a better game. And it's from Rocksteady, so you know what they're doing. They're not just wasting time. They're actively understanding and hearing out people who are complaining about certain things, and they're going to be addressing those things. Just like Diablo 4. I mean, they had the beta, last month or whatever, and they're constantly like communicating with the fans like, hey, we're changing this, we're changing that. We heard you guys. We heard that dungeons were a little repetitive or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're going to improve this. And it's same thing with Rocksteady, just not as communicative, but it's like they're going to do their best to sell the best product they can. So that's good. I think it's great. But yeah. Does that mean I'm going to buy it? No, probably not. But for those people who are interested, that's great for them.
I heard they're just delaying it so that James Gunn can put his wife in the game.
It's going to take how many months to do that?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Holy cow.
You just slap her face on top of an existing model, dude. That's crazy. Wow.
Josh, any comments on this? Not really interested?
Not really. I mean, it sucks when a game gets delayed, but like you said, Corey, at the end of the day, you're right. It's like the games should be better for it. So I'm not like one of those people that's like, I hate you guys. You guys are idiots. It's like, no, like they're making the game better. But yeah, I mean, I think it probably, just the fact that I'm not super interested or excited about the game anyway, it probably just is like, well, okay, well, cool. There's a bunch of other games coming out this year anyway. So,
oh yeah.
So if this one gets delayed next year, okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
As long as Tears of the Kingdom doesn't get delayed.
Which, by the way, I was right. Matt Mercer is the voice of
the
Ganon.
The trailer dropped. The last trailer
baby.
Dropped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that last trailer was pretty legit. I'm not gonna lie, it got me so hyped. A little more storytelling. Seeing Ganondorf.
He's back, baby.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game.
Said he was hot this time.
Yeah, dude, hot Ganondorf.
Hot Ganondorf.
You didn't see him,
shirtless,
dude?
I saw the picture.
Yeah.
Is he never like that?
Not that hot.
Nah, dude. Wind Waker.
The graphics are way.
Wind Waker was the best version of Ganon.
Yeah, I can't wait. That trailer was awesome.
It looked good.
Yeah. Is there anything else, you guys?
Nope.
Okay. I mean, we are ready for The Mandalorian. I will say really quick, I got a message from Luke Wiley, who asked if we were going to review a movie called Nefarious. I hadn't heard about it. I watched the trailer. I'm kind of interested to watch it. It's kind of like a supernatural thriller kind of demon possession kind of scary film.
I like how that escalated. Supernatural thriller, demon possession.
I know.
Murder.
I know. Like, I don't think you guys are fans of those type of movies.
No.
I'm a fan of going to the movies.
That's right.
So I'll watch anything. Really.
I'm kind of interested in it. So I may go watch it. Part of me that's interested about it is because growing up in Mexico, we have stories of my dad kind of dealing with that kind of spiritual side of things. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's done in this movie. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for reaching out to us. And if we do cover it, we'll talk about it. If I go to watch it or one of us goes to watch it, we will kind of discuss it. But yeah, thanks for reaching out and asking that question. And we'll see if we're brave enough.
I'm a scaredy cat, bro.
I don't care about. I don't get scared.
I ain't scared.
The only one that scared me was that. Oh gosh, Strangers or something like that.
The Strangers?
The Stranger? Or
people with like burlap sacks on their head?
It was a
With
Luke
movie. Wilson?
Liv Tyler.
Maybe that one where it's a couple who are in like an Airbnb or whatever.
And they're just like,
And they watch the video of them, like the VHS of them, and it's like other people getting killed.
No.
What are you talking about?
What? No,
there's nothing supernatural about this one.
No, it's just a scary movie.
Yeah, what's that one though? Where they go to the hotel and there's like a movie and like a TV and a VHS and they put it in and it's the room and it's people like with masks on that come into the room.
Is that Hostel?
No, it's not Hostel.
Or Hostel?
I thought it was called The Strangers. No,
I mean, I don't remember the name of this movie, but it's basically they're in this house and these guys basically just are trying, or guys. I think it's just a guy. He's just trying to get into their house, and it's just like weirdly believable and scary. And he cuts off the power so they can't contact anyone, and it's just a scary movie.
I'm getting scared
That's the
now.
only one that scared me. Can we change the topic?
They like see him across the street, and he just looks weird, and they're like, "Oh, what's that guy?" And then he gets closer, and they find out the phone's unhooked.
See, that scared me now because my wife.
They have wireless. They got like those Wi-Fi enabled locks on their doors, and the homie like gets access to it, so he starts unlocking their doors and stuff. The door's unlocked, and they're like, on her phone trying to lock it back up.
There was a weird. My wife sent me a picture of a dude that was around our house when I was gone.
On the ring.
And she was like, she was outside with the girls, and the guy was like just walking around. He's like wearing all black. He had a little hoodie on, and then he was looking at her, and she felt really weird. So he like crossed the street to the neighbors in front and like was knocking on the door. And she was like, that's weird. Like, no one answered. So she's like, I don't even know if he was really knocking. He was just standing there. And then he crossed the street and went to our neighbor's house and was knocking on the door. And she was like, what is this guy doing? Like, and he just kept like walking around the block. So maybe he got access to my locks. And now he's...
Dang, bro. Maybe we should do a podcast where we do a spooky cast,
time.
where everyone writes their own like story and we read it and it's a scary story.
But we do it like one word at a time. Like,
oh my god. Okay.
No, because Mick will be like, and they're okay. Like he'll just like relieve the tension,
and they're saved. And then there were bubbles and rainbows.
Yeah.
All the lights were on.
Yeah, no, like I said, like my dad has some pretty crazy stories. That growing up, we in Mexico, we had some pretty crazy stuff that we saw. So that's kind of, and my parents' house is actually haunted.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
The crawl space. There's a little girl that lives there in the crawl space.
All right,
It's pretty
I think
nuts.
that's the episode.
I'm down for that.
So
Why don't we record the podcast in the crawl
space.
in the crawl space,
that'd
dude?
be
I'm
so
down.
good.
Mick, you in, bro?
I'm going to be sick
Are
that
you
way.
here?
Oh yes.
Jessica, if you're here, speak to us.
In high
Knock
school,
twice.
in high
You
school,
hear like the furnace knock, dung dung.
in high school, we slept in there. Carl, Ben, and I, we slept in the crawl space. It was pretty cool, pretty scary, pretty nice.
Pretty cool.
So
That sounds
next
so
week's
cool.
next week's podcast in the haunted crawl space at my parents' house, reviewing Nefarious.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening this week. Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. Next week we'll be covering obviously the Mandalorian season finale. We'll see who's right. We'll go over our predictions. I'm definitely losing, but what's new? I lose every time. So thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you on next week.